Hello, everyone. Welcome to the podcast. My name is Ken.
And I'm Tim. We're your hosts today.
Today, we will be speaking about El Salvador seeking to make Bitcoin a legal tender and the possible things that that could mean going forward.
I'm going to say that this is a rather interesting thing to happen as countries like China move to ban cryptocurrency and especially Bitcoin as they start to crack down on it. El Salvador is now claiming that they're going to make it a government currency.
That's a good point. China is not a big fan of the decentralized, largely currency because that means they don't have a lot of control over it. I guess El Salvador isn't really thinking too much about controlling Bitcoin.
Doesn't sound like it. So, what are your thoughts on it? First thought, go.
Just that this is happening here in the Americas, maybe not North America, but it's a minor Central American power that's deciding to take this major step forward. I think that's huge, and naturally, I think that, of course, the West is leading the rest of the world in such an endeavor. Naturally, we would be doing that because, if I recall correctly, we were the ones to basically pioneer that.
That's true. I think this also speaks to how smaller governments that aren't set up properly, I guess is the word I'm looking for here, in terms of like El Salvador and a lot of other Central American countries, that because they don't have a proper fun fact, El Salvador uses the US dollar as their primary currency because they don't have actually their own central currency. So something like this, like Bitcoin, is a great way for them to have a secondary currency, especially with the fluctuations of the US dollar of late.
That's a good point.
Interestingly enough, there's also no capital gains tax on Bitcoin since it is now a federally approved currency in El Salvador. So I think U.S. charges something like 40% on it because it's a capital gains tax. There's none of that there.
Yeah, it's something ridiculous. Honestly, it would be foolish for the leaders of El Salvador to implement such a tax. There would be no reason to do it. It would ultimately defeat the purpose of the plan of trying to make Bitcoin, that is, into a legal tender. It would essentially kill that idea off before it even got off the ground.
Yeah, no, that's a very fair argument. Uh, Interesting enough, speaking of killing it before it gets off the ground, uh,
Oh
the
boy.
president, the president that has put forward this bill and actually announced it at a Bitcoin event via video that like a pre-recorded video he sent in. He actually runs the ruling party of the legislator currently, so the odds of this getting vetoed are slim to none.
Hmm. Oh, that that's definitely good in my opinion. El Salvador making a cryptocurrency a legal tender is that's huge. That sets a major example for the world going forward.
What
Not
do you think?
just not just in terms of stabilizing their own economy and their own currency, but just kind of the attacks on centrality.
Yeah. So, what are your thoughts on that? And they're like, I guess what I'm asking here is, do you think that more countries should be doing this, and in what ways? Because obviously El Salvador is a lot different than, say, the Netherlands, which is a lot different than, say, Mongolia, which is different than the U.S. Like, what are your thoughts on different countries implementing this in some way?
Yeah, I think that probably the more developed nations should definitely take the plunge as soon as possible. Nations like America here, the USA, France, Germany, Britain, China, Russia, kind of the big boys. They should be the first ones to adopt this because they have the technology to do so and they'll have the capital. And then everybody else should summarily kind of get onto this boat. Not to say that it'll replace any of our government's issued currencies, but rather that everybody can now have a slice of this pie.
So actually, Ken, what are your thoughts that this will have on the effect? Like, what effects will this have on altcoins such as Doge? I mean, Ethereum's not really an altcoin by definition, but like Bitcoin Gold, all those other coins. What do you think the effect's going to be on those?
Let me first start off by saying I'm not a financial expert. I'm just some guy on the internet who rambles and gives his opinions, and as such, that's about as seriously as you should take me. Um, but that being said, I believe that the prices on Dogecoin are going to soar in on the various different altcoins, such as like Cardano and such. The prices
Okay.
are going to soar because we're going to see a massive influx now of casual investors wanting to not miss out on Bitcoin because they see what Bitcoin is doing in El Salvador now.
Interesting.
I believe that this would possibly be the push forward that the U.S. needs to like federally accept cryptocurrency as a medium of exchange. I believe
Okay.
honestly that the U.S. might actually, the federal government might move really quickly to capitalize on such a thing.
Oh, okay, I see where you're coming from. Now I'm gonna ask you one last question here before we wrap up. What are your
Mm-hmm.
thoughts that this will lead to? Like, a lot of people know that Bitcoin, and especially Bitcoin, has more of a negative past and like being used with the Silk Road and a lot of like those deep dark, like, not so legal things. What are your thoughts that this
Right.
will have as an effect on like on El Salvador as like a local example, since Bitcoin will be a free trade there, but like on the world and almost kind of creating a pirate cove now for El Salvador in terms of Bitcoin?
I'm not really sure that there will be such a pirate cove. Um, to be honest, my philosophy is we have laws because there are criminals in the world. We still
Mm-hmm.
would have those criminals without those laws. So really, you know, criminals will exist either way. It's just the question is how can we reduce it as much as possible? And I actually think that this is a very good way to reduce the amount of crime that is committed using Bitcoin and various other mediums of exchange, possibly down the line. Hey, we'll have to wait and see how people can secure crypto against those things, and then maybe we can export it to like traditional physical currencies. But I think this is a good idea overall.
Interesting. Now, I'm going to pose one last question to you here, and we'll pick this question up next week as our main topic. But it's kind of something you were just talking about. But do we have criminals because people just want to do things? Or do we have criminals because we have laws saying things are illegal? So that's the question I'm going to pose, and we'll pick that up next week. Ken, it's been good talking with you.
Been good talking with you, Tim.
I hope you all have a fantastic night. Thank you all for listening. Bye bye.